Hey everybody, it's me, Antonio, from Pizza Tony's Tony Award-winning pizza, the #1 funeral caterer in all of southern Little Italy. With the pizza this bad, you're gonna be saying, Mamma mia, so glad Nonna wasn't here to see this. Pizza Tony's, put our mozzarella in your al dente's when your friends are pasta.
Continuing tonight on Two C's in a Pod, 96.7 on your Two C's in a pod, 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 two C's just like two C's in a pod, two C's because we're two C's in a pod, just like two C's in a pod, two C's in a pod at gmail.com. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, folks at home. You're driving home from work. You need something to listen to.
Who's driving to work these days?
Yeah, a lot of people are driving to work, Cam, because I see a new $1 million condo being put up every single fucking day. Of course, this is Two C's in a Pod. It's a radio station. It's hosted by myself, Cameron Osborne. It's also hosted by Cam LeClaire.
It's a pirate radio station, to be clear.
Pirate radio station, of course. We've been spending a lot of our funds lately on the big wooden ship you may have seen hovering around Lake Ontario, sort of around the exhibition there.
We spent a lot of money on Somali tutors to really get those accents. The I am the captain now.
Yes,
I am the captain now.
We hired the I am the captain now guy.
I am the captain now.
Really spearheading part of our educational services as pirates of the one of the top podcasts that you can listen to, at least in the Southern Ontario kind of sphere of things, I think. Because goddamn it, we just don't hear enough podcasts by two men such as ourselves.
You know, the movie with Tom Hanks, Captain Phillips, was. They say that all media is good media or something like that. All press? Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and say that one didn't turn out too well for the Somalis. I mean, definitely put them on the map.
That's a good point. You know, I mean, of course, Cam, when we were probably, I think it was about episode 45 when we had our incredible Shark Tale review, we did speak about the the Italian American Commission, who was mad that Italians were sort of made out in this light in that film. I'm sure the exact same organization exists for the Somali pirates.
The Somali pirates themselves. Do you think the Somali pirates have an organized enough group where they have a PR department?
Very much so, because you know what separates Al Qaeda from the rest? Brand recognition. You see the level of travesty and horror occurring. You say to yourself, that's got to be Al Qaeda. They got the fucking flag. They have beard grooming materials with their name on it. Groom their beards. Of course. Well, you know, Cam, as somebody who was definitely not in the cave when SEAL Team 6 came to arrive, as somebody
it is. I was waiting for it all to come.
As somebody who was definitely not there, I can only express that Al Qaeda brand recognition. Gotta give it to him. Speaking of brand recognition, we do want to give a quick shout out to Tony's Pizza for sponsoring the episode of the show.
Thank you, Tony's Pizza. I'll be definitely ordering in for my next funeral. Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. It's thanks for the money. I mean, support.
Well, hey, it's more about supporting local.
Yeah, local businesses. What's the most local business you've supported lately, Cam? Give me your last local buy that you've made that you're like, hey, I could have bought this off of No Name. Sounds like a forest of some type. Or went to a different store. What?
Well, we've certainly given up on Amazon in a way to kind of sidestep away from them. The only way I'll pay Amazon is to watch television shows and movies. Jess found a lot of success around the holiday season doing this whole curbside pickup thing from all these small local kind of shops. I know she got like her mom. She got like her mom and her nieces a bunch of things that they can knit together. From the local little knitting shop or kind of a place that sells outdoor clothes or something. But that's the only shop. That's the only one they got. I would say my biggest kind of local purchases over the time being has really just been Jamaican food that we get kind of on the corner close to me.
That's not local. That's from Jamaica.
It is true. You are right, Cam. They do import it in every single day directly from Jamaica. You think the cost on the meal alone would be crazy, but it's like $7.50 for a lunch special. That's beside the point. I guess maybe just any sort of disc golf purchases has either happened from this one little...
Is that costing a lot of money? Is that like a big expense in your life, disc golf?
So far, it's probably about 100, 150 bucks.
You get the new H6 putter?
No. My Aviator Pro putter is sweet though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you saw that new video with Max Brody promoting it. Fuck, man. He is... Oh, my... Did you see that 26 footer? Holy smokes.
I saw that 26 footer. I thought to myself, that's not that impressive.
Around the pine. Who's expecting that? Who does it better?
Paul Macbeth. That's who.
Paul Macbeth. But the steroid scandal, I mean, that kind of takes him out of the Hall of Fame books, in my opinion.
Amen to that. That would be probably the extent of my local shopping. But really, it's really just the shopping in general, which is curbed down. Really, it's
fuck
food,
buying
it's
things.
Food only at this point. Sort of seems like it.
You know what's great about shopping local though is, when you try and think like, oh, this would be really nice if I could do this, but Canadian Tire will never accommodate for things. We bought something for Shannon's mom for Christmas, which was like a Mennonite box, and does not have Mennonite in it, so don't be worried. Not human trafficking. Human trafficking is not what I thought it was. We'll get back to that after.
Also, quick callback to last week's episode, of course.
Of course. So the Mennonite box had like a bunch of meats, a bunch of cheeses, just a bunch of Mennonite stuff in it. Anyway, just like super accommodating. Like, hey, when can you pick it up? You can. Or they're like, we'll deliver. Like, we can pick it up. Like, oh, cool. Okay, we're gonna throw in a bunch of extra stuff then, because we don't have to pay for shipping then, which is awesome. And then they're like, okay, come to our door on the right-hand side. Don't knock on the doorbell because that's not our doorbell. Go on the right-hand side, pick up this box, and I'll make sure to put her name on it with a little wreath. And you're like, isn't that nice?
I had somebody deliver some discs I was buying to the actual course that I was at while I was there.
Fucking better for a professional like you.
They called me while I was there, and they just said like, hey, we're not going into apartment buildings, but you can, if we call you, will you come down? And I'm like, oh shit, I'm not actually there. Like, where are you? I'm like, oh, I'm actually at...
There's one question everyone's begging to ask.
Yes.
Did he throw them to you, or did he hand them to you?
Nah, they were in a box.
Killed me.
But it was exactly that. I mentioned to him like, oh, I'm at the course right now. He said, actually, that's closer to our office. Could we just meet you at the top of hole 13? I'm like,
and then he said, only if you take me out for 9.
Amen.
Hey, so that's a Jerry Seinfeld.
Sometimes you get delivery right to your door, Cam. I want to stop you just before, because you brought up the Mennonite boxes. I just do have some things to comment about last week, because we did get a couple notes. We got some notes. We got some notes. We got some notes. Cam, we asked ourselves the question, can Mennonites ride bikes? Is that even allowed? How does that, certainly a 24-speed Shimano.
I thought you were referring to human trafficking, which I wasn't sure about if I talked about last week, but now this is all coming back together.
No, just the Mennonites. Can Mennonites ride bikes? Is it even allowed? Well, Cam, we just have to go over that. In fact, it is. Bicycles also are a great example of something that Mennonites are allowed to do, but the Amish are not. Sometimes you will see young Amish children riding around on scooters, but bicycles are strictly banned by the Ordnung, which is, of course, the governing set of rules laid onto the Amish people.
I should have looked into those.
But it does really bring you the question, how do you tell the difference between the Mennonites and the Amish? I mean, back in the day, it would have been very easy to tell, just purely based on who was following Jacob Jacob Amon, the man who believed that sinning should result in excommunication and shunning, which is a far more serious punishment than the rest of the Mennonite community believed sinning warranted. So today, when we mainly see the differences between them are mostly their practices rather than their beliefs. The Amish will completely stay away from technology and the outside world, where the Mennonite community sees the importance of connecting themselves with the rest of the world. So if you're enacting or like acting out with them in public, they're Mennonites, not Amish.
Got it. Okay. So I'm not going to ask. Did you do a lot of research into this?
I get a lot of faxes throughout the week.
Okay. Do you know
sort of like anything that comes across my desk?
Does the Amish community like live in a certain zone where I'm just not going to pass them?
They would be located in such a place that you would have to go so far out of your way probably to be around them.
Right.
If that makes sense, because they are removing themselves so much from like the kind of 21st century world that you'd probably really have to go looking for Amish people if you were curious. And one more note that we got were the Russia Olympics. Huh?
Russia Olympics. Yes.
Of course, as we all know, just to confirm, back in the Winter Olympics in 2019 in Pyongyang, the Russian Olympic Committee was suspended for doping, and they were not allowed to compete as a country. However, the International Olympic Committee did allow Russian athletes to compete under the name of the OAR, or the Olympic Athletes from Russia.
Bullshit.
They're not allowed to display their flag. Instead, it's like a circular logo that just reads the word Olympic Athletes from Russia.
We're fucking a bunch of cheaters.
In a circle.
It should just have a needle in it and say, look who won again.
Of course, they're not allowed to play their anthem.
It's a great anthem,
and
though,
in
isn't it?
total, because of this, 43 athletes, their records were removed from the 2014 games and the record books. And of course, anybody who tested positive for doping was then banned for the Olympics in the future, 2018 and then possibly 2022. And this was pretty much a unanimous decision for all of the like separate governing bodies of all the events, except for the International Ice Hockey Federation. That's right, the IIHF, who pretty much just wanted competitive hockey and knew that if Russia wasn't allowed, and then that was kind of coinciding right when Gary Bettman wanted to remove NHL players from the Olympics, which, hey, he makes a good fucking point. So that's about that. They'll be banned for 2022, and then I think we'll figure out the next one as we go.
Well, I mean, there's no question in my mind that the NHL has no issue using steroids. When's the last time you heard of a steroid bust in the NHL?
That's a good question. I wonder. Well, it's like,
because here's my prime example.
Okay,
Erik Karlsson gets his ankle stepped on, and it cuts 90% of his Achilles tendon. 8 months later, he's back on the ice on the power play, ripping bombs from the half marks. Like, no.
No. Well, Cam,
that's not how that works.
Cam, you would know yourself that there are a number of not only performance enhancing, but ways in which you can heal. Famous Super Bowl MVP and actual murderer Ray Lewis once injected deer hormones into a tearing tricep so he could get back on the field at the same time, and it worked. Are deer hormones banned by the NFL? Absolutely not. So you're allowed to do it.
I would think that might fall into the category of, really? It's just that section? Really?
Really?
Come on. Yeah, really?
Dot.
Yeah, really? Come on. It's kind of like I'm going through this fucking fence bullshit, and I can't find a way around the bylaw because it says, like, or anything of similar or anything including but not exclusive of. And I'm like, that's not a law.
See, and we do see, and I think Erik Karlsson's Achilles injury is special because we see a lot of Achilles getting injured. Ever since Achilles got shot out with that arrow right into his Achilles, eventually killing him, ever since that moment, we've seen hundreds of athletes go down. Right?
What's the worst injury you've ever seen live?
Worst injury I've ever seen live. All I'm gonna say on that is maybe Eric Carlson's a genetic freak. I don't know. Worst injury I've ever seen live, like on television, when Kevin Ware.
No. In person.
Probably.
But I'll give you the video one.
Never. No.
Oh.
I don't think I've ever seen. Like, I've seen somebody. I remember, like, there was a kid in like football scrimmage who broke his hip, but like, when you break your hip, it doesn't look.
You're crying. You're like,
yeah, exactly. It was just a kid who was hit and then is lying on the ground crying, which I guess would be no different than like any other serious injury. So like, I mean, yeah, I've only ever seen my knee side backwards. I've never seen like anybody else. I've never seen a broken arm. I've never seen a floppy arm.
I'm gonna say you saw yourself then.
I saw it, baby. I saw it.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
There's not really much to tell because I was so drugged and it was so long ago. The older I get, the less I'm remembering the day-to-day parts of life. Surely, because like as a 10-year-old, I would have been very cognizant and I would have remembered each and every single day. But now we're kind of like, almost 20 years past that. And it's hard to believe that I had like a day-to-day routine when I was like anything younger than 20.
Yeah.
So it's probably a bit hard to believe. I just remember going down and swearing, and one of the coaches was bald and a little bald guy, and I just remember him scurrying out of the gym, presumably to go to the office to like call the ambulance over. Because this would have been 2007, so not every teacher had their fucking phone in their pocket.
Yeah. Like
ready to go, and then. It would have been so much pain until they got there, and then all the pain was gone. And then, it was just sort of, it's sort of like I was so drugged for the rest of the day. I got so much morphine straight to the dome.
That's sick.
And I remember coming back to school because the whole ordeal was only like it felt like it was 8 hours. Lying on the gym floor with a dislocated leg.
Did it pop out of your hip socket?
No, my knee. I guess like the lower half of my leg.
It dislocated from
the patella.
Interesting.
The patella is what it was. The old patella. So like I remember lying in the gym. I remember getting put on the stretcher. I remember they gave me this drug where first they're like, on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being the worst pain in your life, what is it right now? And I'm like, 11, 12.
You're
and
like 20. They're like funny. You don't think we've heard that one?
And then they gave me the
shit?
drugs, and I do remember saying, I was like 4, 5, I don't know, I don't care. I do remember saying that, and then being like stretchered out. The whole thing was only like 2 hours, but it felt like it was a whole day. Like I came back to school like in my brace and crutches to collect the rest of my stuff, like at lunchtime. It was no time, like 4 hours had passed maximum. But of course it felt like a day.
I one time got wheelchaired into the Sky Dome when it was still around.
The Sky Dome is still around, Cam.
No, it's not. It's the Rogers Center now. Where's even that?
If the building, you were whisked around the building.
I was. Should I tell the story or just leave it at that? I'm fine to leave it at that too, because that leaves a lot. It's much better if I just say that.
Stay tuned next week when Cam finishes his Skydome Rogers Center story.
I once saw a dude also try and catch a softball, and then his arm popped out of his shoulder.
Try to catch a baseball with a softball?
Well, he was outreached, like his arm was outreached to catch a fly ball, running for it. Ball lands in the glove, and then his arm pops out of his shoulder.
How does that happen?
Socket. Got bad shoulders.
Just bad shoulders. See? I mean, Cam, right there, I think you just brought it up. What does bad shoulders mean? It means your genetics fucking suck. It means that you've torn the things enough times where they're just not stable anymore. Or, I like to blame genetics.
Sure, you blame genetics. I'll blame multiple injuries.
Oh yeah, was it this softball player?
Oh, it was like that. It was like the 19th time he's popped out his shoulders.
Really?
It's kind of like
And he's
apparently one time my grandfather parachuted out of a plane. He was in the World War II, and then landed in a tree and then dislocated his shoulder, and then walked into like the medical room where they fix that shit, and he saw like just carnage, and he's like, all right, fuck this. I'm just going to fix this myself. I'm just went, and he's like, all right, with my gun. And then went and killed some Nazis.
Yeah, you'll And then just went Nazi hunting, Yeah. I mean, you're not going to bring yourself to the infirmary with a little boot.
My shoulders popped out. Oh, that's nice. His leg's gone. We don't know where it is.
A little boo-boo.
It's gone.
A little boo-boo on your shoulder.
Oh, it's still attached? That must be nice. See him? He's got none of them left. You're like, damn, well.
Oh, yeah.
Could you put mine back in?
You dislocated your shoulder. I'm bleeding out.
I've probably got 2 minutes.
I've got 2 minutes.
And I'm wasting this time on your conversation.
Do you want me to put your shoulder back into place, you Nancy boy? Oh, Sally.
Nancy boy. That's a good one. I'm going to have to drop that one.
Yeah, there's not enough, and I have no problem with, a young man being called a Nancy or a Sally. I really have no problem with that because, like, it's I don't know. I should have a problem with it though, right?
No, fuck that. That's what the liberal government wants to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy, but I was yelled at by coaches. I feel like if you were to watch like a little soccer team or a little hockey team now, coaches aren't yelling at their kids.
No, they're like, that was great. That was really great.
Children should be yelled at.
I remember the first time that I was like, oh, okay, this is how coaching works. I was playing goalie for a league that was above mine, so like it was Aaron. So you didn't have just goalies weren't that really available. So sometimes you get called up to play with a different team. So I was playing at the next age group, and I'm practicing with the team. And the coach comes up to me and says, how you doing? And I go, doing pretty good. He says, I think you're just doing okay. And I was like, oof, that one fucking stung.
But it's important. It's important.
Yeah. Never forgot it. Never forgot it.
Never forgot it.
Sorry, I mean, just increased my performance.
I'll never forget. It was like grade 6. And I think I'm in Madame Godet's English class. And she told me to shut up.
Ooh.
So, and like angrily so. It was like a shut up. There was a little bit of a oomph to it. Very, very nice woman.
She was hungover.
She was the school's librarian. Very nice woman, but she kind of angrily asked me to shut up.
Were you being a pest?
Probably.
Yeah,
like,
almost certainly. I doubt I was being a good boy.
I was probably trying to make the class laugh or trying to do something dumb with your friend who sat on me and this guy, Andrew Pert. We had to sit on opposite sides.
Big shouts out to Andrew Pert.
Big shouts out to Andrew Pert. I have no idea where he is, but like we had to sit on opposite sides of the classroom for a few years because we would just get into too much shenanigans together.
Right. Wrestling match in the middle of class.
No, it would never be to, and there's kind of like two sides of this. Like, there's kind of two sides to the attention-seeking kid. I think there is the one that's the like, hey, look at me, I need attention, versus look at me, I'm trying to make you laugh. And I think those two things are different because if you think of like, I don't know, I think of like a few kids who would just say obnoxious things.
Right, and it's kind of like, that doesn't make sense. That's so stupid. I mean, like,
exactly.
You're just waiting to get the laugh, not like laugh at me rather than make you laugh.
Exactly. Like Andrew, we would never interrupt class with our shenanigans. Right. We tried to. You'd wait for the hole and then take that, and then sometimes it worked, and sometimes it landed, and sometimes it didn't. But I do remember one year that like our desks were on either side of the teacher's desk. Like it got that kind of bad, but again, it was like you're rude in the sense that you're like interrupting, but it was all like us clearly just trying to be funny. So I got a couple shut-ups in my day, and they were probably all fucking well deserved, because you only tell a kid to shut up if they're being a little prick who needs to shut up.
I think so. I don't think I've told a kid to shut up yet. But you never know. Maybe today's the day.
Well, Cam, I think the problem there would be, why are you around kids?
Yeah, there's one kid that's a neighbor here, and I would like to tell her to shut up sometimes, but I'm just going to kind of be patient with her.
Exactly.
She's the kind of kid that really needs attention. Like, it's always like, it's people talking, and she'll be like in the background, like just trying to do something to get attention. Like, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I'm sliding down a hill. Look at this. And you're like, yeah, I've seen that. It's not impressive.
And I would never do anything to try to get attention. Of course,
I'm
was
sure you did it in a
Oh no,
little
of
bit.
course I was trying to get attention, but I can remember like the kids at school who would, we had a big playground at our school, but the kids who would like intentionally like hang out on the border of the kind of like the edge of the playground where the teacher eventually would have to like come over, get back over here, and then eventually you're getting in trouble for doing things that like aren't like more disrespectful than just trying to be playful. I think you could probably ask all of my teachers, like, yeah, he's annoying as shit, but he's trying to be fun.
But
like
goddamn, he's a good comic.
Like
That's what they're saying.
or I just rather like I don't know. Maybe I was trying to make everybody else's learning experience a little bit better. I remember when I had chicken pox in kindergarten, got a big letter home from everybody. It had like everybody's name on it, like get well soon, this, that, the other. And my kindergarten teacher had written that she wants me back because nobody's singing "O Canada" with you gone. Because in the morning it's just you're blasting.
You got the people going.
I'm blasting the English and the French version of "O Canada," and it was enough that like other kids were like, okay, we'll also sing this kind of goofy song. I'll be honest, the Canadian national anthem isn't necessarily a banger.
It's not the best one.
It's no Star Spangled.
The Russia one.
It's no Star Spangled Banner. I mean, I'll give them that. But I guess it was enough that clearly my enthusiasm and energy was kind of permeated through the other students.
Missed. I called the Star Spangled Banger personally.
I do. Yeah, I have no shame saying the national anthem sucks, and I would follow up anybody who would question my patriotism. Say like, hey, is it on your iPod? When was the last time you streamed the Canadian national anthem on Spotify? Probably never. So don't stack your patriotism in front of mine, Dad.
Speaking of patriotism, I grabbed a bottle of French's tomato, what do you call it, ketchup, and it said only made from Canadian tomatoes.
The freshest of tomatoes.
And then my dad said there's no such thing as a Canadian tomato. And I'm like, what? He's like, they don't have passports. And I'm like, I guess. I don't know.
I was going to say, a Canadian tomato almost sounds like a euphemism. Like, a Canadian tomato is what you call, like... a
guy that gets angry at a, like...
Yeah, or I was going to say a Canadian who goes to Disney...
Tomato.
A Canadian who goes to Disney World and gets sunburned.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a Canadian tomato. That's a Canadian tomato. It almost sounds like a euphemism.
It's a snowbird that spends a snowbird in his first year. What do you call a snowbird in his first year?
Yeah, a Canadian tomato. Yeah,
there
see, we're working on it.
We're onto something here. Yeah, there's something here. Yeah. Anyway, there's no passports on tomatoes, but I thought he made an interesting point that I just never thought about until that day. There's no such thing as Alberta beef. I guess there's beef from Alberta, but it's not Alberta beef.
Why isn't it Alberta beef? Because it doesn't have a passport?
They don't have a residency. I guess beef's a little different.
Well, I mean, I guess, Cam, that really brings the question: should we be assigning citizenship to animals?
No, let's just open the borders wide up and let the floodgates come in, buddy.
There's huge stretches of the Canadian border that are not like closed nor open. It's just forest.
Yeah,
and
well, what they do is they cut down a lot of the trees around there.
They mow the strip. Like there's from sea to shining sea. There is a strip buzzed.
Right, just like my asshole.
And you could probably cross it quite freely.
I don't think so. I think the problem is that they guard I'm sure they have a general idea of like this part's pretty easy to cross. Once you think about like the densest forest you've ever been in, you're like, I'm not crossing that. Right? Eventually you're to a point you're like, this is too dense. Would take me so long to get through a kilometer. It would take me like 3 hours. That's probably where they're like, yeah, if they get through there, they deserve it. Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You remember those guys who killed people like 3 years ago? Then they like went off to Winnipeg, and they like the manhunt in Canada was on, and then they got trapped in the bush with like no camping equipment or anything like that.
I think I do. It was two of them.
It was two of them.
Yeah,
and they got caught. But basically, I just remember the news reports of like people from the area, like local forest people, saying like there's no way they will, like, the forest will eat them alive or kick them out. There's no way they'll spend long in there. I'm like, yeah, I've been in forests where you just don't want to be there anymore, and those are nice forests. And then if you think of like a bog and just mosquitoes everywhere, whew, I'm out.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the you wouldn't be able to live it. No, and once you're on a manhunt, or once you're being manhunted,
Yeah.
how many people have survived the manhunt?
Oh, I don't know. DB Cooper would be one.
And he is
Maybe. Oh, he's the guy who robbed a plane at gunpoint,
Oh, that's cool.
took the cash on the plane, jumped out with a parachute, and then they never found him. They put a manhunt on and they never found him.
I think you're thinking of that's Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible 7.
No, DB Cooper. Look it up.
I think actually that's Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. I think he does that little thing at the beginning of the movie.
Where do you think he got the idea from?
DB Cooper?
There you go. Look it up. That was obviously a pseudonym he used. Some people have drawings of him. There's always kind of this shrouding mystery of whether or not he lived. They found some bills in the forest, and some people are like, "Oh, obviously he died." But
That's a
then
great
some
word.
people are like,
Great word, Cam. Shrouded in mystery.
"Shrouded in mystery."
Did you get a
I am
little?
full of good words.
Did you get a little word of the day kind of peel back calendar?
No, but I invested in Headspace for the year, so I'm going to try meditation for the year.
Ooh.
See how that turns out. See if I can clear my mind and maybe not speak like a 6-year-old who doesn't know how to pronounce S's and slurs all the time.
Did you start
But,
off?
Hey, that's
did
just
you?
me.
Now I came into the studio. Old whiteboard. The old whiteboard just covered with permanent marker, of course. Cam, you working on a lot of these tongue twisters again?
Working on them. They're coming across. Slow it down.
It's really tough.
They're coming through nicely.
It's really tough.
Well-
It's like when you start talking, and it's like you're going for like it's like when you think you're about to have a nice poop, and you're like, this is not going to hurt. It's going to come out in one solid piece, and everything's going to be nice.
No red. Yep.
And then you go for it, and it's just not what you pictured.
Most of the time, I have a pretty good idea what's coming out the rear end for me.
Yeah, but
I don't.
There's
I'm
that
never.
li- Well, Cam,
I'm very. No, I'm not gonna say never. The times that I'm surprised is when I'm like, this is a normal one, and then it's 9 minutes later, and I'm like, why isn't it all coming out? Where is it?
well, Cam, we did just get over what can only be described as Fibergate.
Fibergate.
Truly trying to address how much fiber you have in your diet, and my suggestion, of course, keep the fiber at that same amount and then boost everything else. So you're just kind of eating to catch up
interesting.
with the fiber. Like, so you had too much fiber. Eat more, so then your fiber
Right.
is kind of in proportion.
It's not too much. It's the same amount.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
keep your
It's not in proportion.
keep your fiber at the same amount, but eat more of everything else. Of course, that was my suggestion. But we've really addressed Fibergate.
Doctors hate them. Scientists want to be them.
Yeah. I try to. Me and Dr. Oz right now are in a little bit of a trademark kerfuffle back and forth. Of course, I wrote an EP when I was 13 years old under the name Dr. Oz, and I published it. So the who has the name is a little bit of kind of up in the air right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. That's a fun fact about you. That's like that story you told a few weeks about that guy from the Beatles, the best of the Beatles.
Oh, Pete Best. How could you forget Pete
Best.
Best? Everyone search it up. Look it up. Look it
Look
up,
it up.
folks.
It's
Pete
a
Best.
fact.
Pete Best. He was in the Beatles before Ringo Starr. Imagine being kicked out of the Beatles because you're a dick. Like, not because you weren't skilled enough. Clearly, the Beatles were not looking for the next John Bonham on drums. They just needed
they
a
were
guy
like,
to
keep a
kind of be
basic
there.
rhythm, and not even good, just decent.
Yeah, I think it is also, it's kind of like one of those techniques, if you want to look better, stand beside somebody who looks worse.
Yeah, that's a good
of
one.
course,
Do that all the time.
you're a young, strapping-looking Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison. Of course, you got to think to yourself, hey, we need a drummer and we need to look better.
Right.
Ringo Starr may have achieved both those things.
Definitely. I call that a face for radio.
He has Ringo Starr has a face for radio, and who are we? And now he's just fucking laughing because there's only two left. There's only
Which one's
two. There's
died?
only two Beatles left, and he's one of them. Never
So
thought we'd
Ringo,
be there.
who's the other one?
Well, John Lennon was shot, of course, as you
Okay.
may know.
Because of that book, To Catch a Caterpillar or To Catch a Rye.
Yep. So To Catch a Rye. To Catch a Rye. It says right in there. It says right in there. Kill the phonies. Kill the phonies. And when I think of a phony, I think of John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven. No, go fuck yourself, John Lennon. And the second one was George Harrison, who passed away from a brain tumor. So a little more sad.
Ooh, a little
Which
worse,
one's
yeah.
sadder? I don't know.
Is that what they're telling you? Is that what the liberal media is telling you? Brain tumor?
Yeah, that's what the liberal media.
Oh. It's a cute story.
Now, Cam, I just want to
not
bring
what I
this
heard.
up before we go any further. You have now, on 3 separate occasions throughout this podcast, addressed what you have called the liberal media. I'm just curious.
If you want to keep talking about this,
Is there something on your mind? Of course, has some.
I'm just saying that maybe we're not getting like the truth and all that but the truth.
So help you God.
So help me God.
So there's nothing else you really want to know, like kind of gripe you have. Maybe you're more focused on the New Democratic Party media.
I'm just saying that I had a gate up. It was legal, and they're trying to take my gate down. They're trying to break down that wall, and I say no. I'm going to the voters' meeting next week, and I'm making a fuss.
Gate. This is
Gate.
this is truly hitting unprecedented kind of levels here with this
The gate?
with this class action lawsuit.
Yeah, I would love to bring into a class action lawsuit, but I don't even know what the next step is. I think the next step is fucking move.
Move to a place with a gate.
Move to a place that allows me to have gates, because I'm going to go to this annual general meeting and just fucking, like, they'll be like, is there any questions? Be like, yeah, why do you have 8-year-olds working in the back taking pisses and throwing cigarettes in my backyard? Just a quick question. Not 18-year-olds, I should say.
Well, I was going to say, Cam, that would be a big question if you had 18-year-olds hacking darts in your backyard, or 8-year-olds hacking darts in your backyard. That would be very important.
Any other questions? Yeah, real quick question. Why does my backyard flood weekly? Just out of curiosity. Third question, do you have any morals? And fourth question, do you believe in God?
Of course, get a lot of the
Just to
things
round
right
things
there.
off.
Maybe we can start bringing up the commandments, the flooding, Noah, that whole kind of thing. Like, hey, what am I building an ark here? I don't know. You can do something like that.
Well, they gave me shit this week because they said I had to take my mesh fence down because it's an eyesore, according to one owner. Who says that it degrades property value because it's an eyesore. I'm going to go piss on his fucking doorstep and shit on it and say that's an eyesore, not that fence.
I would say the constant police presence on the other side of that fence on your backyard. I would say that's more of an eyesore than.
Yeah, I would say a lot of things are an eyesore, including people coming into our cars and breaking in. That's an eyesore because that doesn't look good on anybody. Or how about the people that have guns around our neighborhood that are kind of an eyesore, or maybe just a mental sore because you have to think about it. Or maybe the fact that our paving is just absolute shit and it's two-tiered and it's black and white and bumpy. Or maybe the fact that construction workers leave garbage everywhere. But no, the temporary fence, that's an eyesore that's reducing property value.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
I would say the 4 years of building what can only be like 50 units. I would say that would be more of an eyesore.
That's an eyesore. We're on a fucking construction site, and I can't have a mesh fence. I get it. I can't have a wood fence. Okay, I don't really disagree with that. First of all, it's not a fence. It's a fucking gate. Second of all, it's a temporary fence that I can pull up and down. I need to get approval from a board of directors for my own backyard in the middle of winter because some dickhead thinks that, oh, my property value is going to decrease. No, your property value is going to decrease because no one has any fucking money right now because it's a goddamn pandemic, you goddamn moron. Not because of this fence. He just doesn't like the fence because I have dogs, and he doesn't like to see puppies playing around because he's a goddamn old sore nerd fuck rat.
So I take it's the guy who lives directly above you.
Probably. They're not giving any names.
They should, though. Out these people.
I think they should, because I'm going to start throwing dog poo, on their balcony.
If this guy is so concerned about his property's value, is he about to sell?
I don't know. They're not giving me names.
Like, who's ever concerned about their the only time you're concerned about your property value is when you're thinking to yourself, I can up it by redoing the bathroom. Nobody looks around and be like, "Oh, my neighbor put up a fence."
Yeah. Oh, God, Cam, it's just. I'll give this though. So I was complaining to my dad about this today, just losing it like I was here, and he had just gotten off the phone with the hospital because he had an angiogram last week, and he looked at me and says, "There's bigger things in life," and I went, "Okay, you're right." He goes, "It's small things. You'll move. Don't worry about it." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, you just had heart surgery. You're right. I shouldn't worry about this." And I thought that was a nice shift in perspective.
It is, a little shift in perspective, and Cam, I think that's what it ultimately results to, right? If you have to move, you have to move. I even know in the town that I grew up, bylaws are different depending on the side of the town you live in. At my mother's house, you're allowed to have a clothesline in your backyard to hang clothes. At my father's house, you're not allowed to have a clothesline in the backyard. Different rules depending on even which side of the town you're on.
I hate bylaws. I can't take it, but I'll try and relax. Just it's Friday night. It's Monday afternoon. It's Monday.
And all you gotta do is just go to the meeting, set yourself straight, plead your case.
Meeting,
hey,
though.
why? That sucks.
Yeah. I know, they're just going to mute me because I'm just going to have death grips playing in the background and go, "Sorry, should I turn that down? Is that too loud?"
Yeah.
Is that too? No, that'd be rude. Maybe I'll try and do a very eloquent point. I'm dropping this issue because I'm just, the heart rate's spiking, Cam. The heart, 74.
That's a huge spike for you, Cam, because you have a kind of like a
resting at 36.
Your resting heartbeat, 36 beats a minute, I guess.
Mine's actually, ever since, surprisingly I haven't said this, I've been doing the sober January, and ever since I stopped drinking, my heart rate has just plunged down.
How much?
It's down to 51 beats per minute average.
How much are you drinking in the first place?
At least every weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just alcohol that does a lot to increase your heart rate.
Yeah.
You have to, so that was something interesting. And also just doing a lot of exercise.
Yeah, it could be
who knows?
Could be a mix of that. Yeah,
getting on the Zwift cycle. I told you about that, right?
I think you mentioned.
Yeah, it's that thing that you put it up on your screen. It looks like you're cycling, and then you hook up your bike to it, and then it has a little power meter. Apparently, they came out with this game just recently. That's do you want to be an Uber Eats cyclist without the danger? Try this game, and it's you have 8 minutes to get to this next stop, and you can kind of do steering and stuff on your bike, and you try and get there as fast as you can to drop off the food. I thought it sounded pretty fun.
On what bike? Do you have a little spinner?
I just use my normal bike, and I have a trainer on the back of it.
Yeah, the little spinner attachment. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
Make a lot of noise, though. They make a lot of noise.
Mine's not too loud. Some of them are very loud. This one, I can do it, and someone can be sleeping.
Now, you think
but the problem
you think it would be virtually silent. It would just be the sound of the bike. But no, sometimes,
Yeah, you need to have that friction point, and the wheel itself has to have some sound with the bearings. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I would normally, it's silent enough where I could do it if Shannon was sleeping in the house. But the problem is that if I'm going to be cycling for an hour, I gotta have beats playing through the whole house at 5 a.m.
You have to. You can't just use your headphones.
No,
that's not
because no. There is a reason I have to do it through the house. It's because when I cast my screen from my phone, it won't let me play it to a different source, the audio. Just a technical thing. So I just play everything through my TV, and then I play that Diplo mash and just boom, 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 boom.
Oh,
that fun one.
That new dip low track. Sounds like a great time, though, Cam. I'm glad your heart rate is subsiding. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's fun being healthy and and then you work on the mental health. You work on the headspace. You try and get your brain working. You're kicking in high gear.
Of course.
Big start to 2021, except this fucking lockdown. But we're not going to get into that right now.
Agreed.
It's not a negative Nancy day.
Of course, and you can't even call someone a negative Nancy anymore because the Nancys are going to be like, why is my name negative? And the people who you're calling negative Nancys are going to be like, you shouldn't say that.
Shouldn't use people's names in a bad way. Using people's next, it's going to be all out the door, and then.
He/him.
Minors.
Agreed. It's all fucked.
Everything's fucked. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, should we play a game?
Which game? Would you like to play a game?
You want to play a game?
You want to play a game?
Hey, want to play a game?
It's very much different in tone, eh? Same words.
Same words.
Put your hand in this bucket and there's a saw in it.
Same word. Trebek tells you, like, hey, let's play a game. And you're like, let's go.
Let's play a game.
John Kramer tells you he wants to play a game, and you're fucking terrified.
Kill me. Would you rather... It's a game of would you rather. Would you rather play a saw game? Or would you rather... flip a coin to decide if you're going to live or die?
Let's go for the coin.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the psychological damage you're going to be facing with the Saw game, that's going to stick with you.
And there's very few Saw games where you come out of them unscathed.
Good point.
Even the ones where you're allowed to live, like the woman cut off her arm, but she lived.
Right.
The woman in The Office, like I guess she got her neck all cut up. But yeah, very few. Most of them, if you do live, you've lost an appendage
or dignity,
or your dignity. And
hey, but let's play a different game.
I would probably just go with that, and then because if I can just flip a coin and then be okay, that's fine with me.
What game did you have in mind? What game did you?
I want to play a game. Let's play some Headline or Asinine.
Hey, headline or asinine. Headline or asinine.
Because we know how the game is played. We have headlines for each other, and sometimes they're real, and sometimes they're fake.
Sometimes we throw a little bit of heat down the middle, a little bit of watermelon come down the plate, a little bit of a juicy tomato coming right across the plate, and sometimes we throw that smoke. We throw that smoke that's curving right over. Oh my God, it's a changeup. Oh my God, it's a breaking ball. Hey, headline or asinine, Cam? New Jersey gives smokers vaccine before general public. New Jersey to give smokers vaccine before general public.
Yeah, and this is all the rage right now. Who should be getting vaccines first? We're starting off with the oldies and the people working, but smokers though, because see, I think this goes in line. And of course, we did have the story the other week about the Manhattan judge who allowed one of Osama bin Laden's co-workers, we'll call him, off early due to his obesity and his chance of being sick. And I would say smokers would be in that same category where their health has probably gotten to such a point where they could die if things aren't handled properly. And New Jersey sounds like a place where maybe I feel like the headline's misleading because I'm going to say 95% of the New Jersey population hacks darts. So it's not like it's a misleading headline because everyone's smoking cigarettes over there. But it's a headline.
It is a headline, and here is the facts. New Jersey said Wednesday it would expand vaccine eligibility to include those 16 to 64 years old with underlying health conditions. The largest chunk of that group include 2 million smokers in the state. So that's the underlying health condition. The announcement prompted immediate backlash. People felt it was wrong to choose smoke Oof, man, my reading is at a grade 2 level. Despite the risk to receive vaccination prior to those who do not. The state defended its decision in an updated statement Thursday, calling its eligibility expansion was in accordance with CDC guidelines. It also encourages smokers to call it quits with this help hotline. Back to you, Cam.
Thanks, Cam. No, that sounds about right, because I mean, even if you are a lifelong smoker that's resulted in some kind of lung or heart disease, now that lung and heart disease is now your underlying condition. Nobody cares about how you got it. Just that you have it, right? Nobody cares that you drank yourself to diabetes. They just care if you have diabetes, So, a little bit of a weird one there. Okay, Cam, I have one here for you. Headliner Asinine. Man caught smuggling $35,000 of cocaine under his toupee.
Sorry, 35,000?
Yes.
That's a big... I've seen how much an 8-ball cost, and that's like 60 or 80 bucks. And maybe it's 100. I don't remember. I've seen people buy it, and it is very expensive for very small quantities. But 3,500, so yeah, that's okay.
35,000.
Okay, that's where we're getting things off.
Cam, you're having trouble with your speech, your reading, and your remembering, Cam. I think if there's anybody who has an underlying condition, I don't know what yours is, but I'm going to say you got it.
I'll take that. And back to you, Cam.
Back to you, Cam. Is it a headline or is it
asinine? Thank you. Thanks, Cam. Looking at that number, $35,000 would take quite a bit of cash. And can you fit that under a toupee? Survey says, no, you can't. But here's my thoughts on how it would happen if it did. He's going through an airport, and his toupee looks just like a lumpy piece of coal. And someone just points it out and goes, "Sir, is that flour coming up? Sir, there's a dog sitting beside you." He goes, "That's my dog." He goes, "That's not your dog." Curveball. Asinine.
Cam, that's a headline here for you. The story is coming out of Spain. Out of Barcelona airport when a Colombian man was detained while attempting to smuggle about a pound of cocaine under his hairpiece. If that helped. A pound, 35,000. Police originally pulled him aside due to his nervous appearance. He was sweating and his unusually large hair. The police said. The police posted 2 photos on their Twitter. Not an official mugshot, just, like an evidence type of photo. One with his toupee over top of the cocaine, and the other with just the cocaine with his toupee taken off. And with the cocaine and his toupee, there was approximately a 4.5-inch stack on the top of his head. And he thought he could get away with it. But good to know, though. It's about a pound. $35,000
That's like
cocaine.
4 thumbs worth, right?
There you go.
Damn, that's a big mount on your head.
That's a big mountain on your head.
Big old mountain on your head. Hey, no mask policy leads to gunshots in Arizona. So I'll read that again. No mask policy leads to gunshots in Arizona.
Is it no mask? Arizona. Everyone's favorite state lately. Flopping the floor there. Senator John McCain said to everybody, "Hey, no more of this shit. We're a blue state now." So there's a turmoil, everyone's, it's hot. It's hot over there in Arizona. Not only is it a dry desert heat, but emotions are running high. So this is a case where there was no policy in effect, and a result of which came in gunplay. That's one funny thing about gun ownership in the United States is that it's very much I need to defend my land. I need to defend myself. But I love it when people go away from their home to shoot somebody. You know, because it's happening in like a fucking parking lot or in like a super center when two people disagree and they shoot each other. Yeah, have a gun to defend your home and your family? Sure, I'll give you that luxury. Have a gun to defend your rights in a Walmart parking lot? I don't know if I buy that, but there's some pretty dumb motherfuckers out there, so that's a headline.
That is a headline, and I'll note this store in Arizona will not allow anyone with a mask to come into their store. He said in a Facebook video that he doesn't allow masked customers because of what we've seen happening with looting and violence and rioting. It's pretty hard to tell. It's pretty hard to tell who are good people and who are bad people when you have your mask on. He also said the death rate is 0.008 anyway. Anyway, this man walks in with a mask on, probably looking at his phone and, not looking at this chalked sign, because who reads chalk signs when you're just focused on actually why you want to go in? And the owner yells at him, gets in his face. The man pushes him back. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, don't touch me. And then he pulls a gun on him. So there was actually no shots fired in the incident, more of just a big scare that happened. But point is, people are up in arms about this pandemic. Back to you, Cam.
They
see what I did there? See what I did there? Oh, I'm still on here.
Was it the up in arms?
Up in arms. Yeah, you got it.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah,
I got it.
Nice.
I got it. Okay, Cam. Hio or no hio? Danish television network launches children's show about a man with a giant penis.
Ugh. No, even though I know the Danes are a little bit crazy.
Now, this is fun, Cam, because I think for decades and centuries now, we've just been calling them the Dutch. But you have sort of felt a fun way to sort of change this around.
Oh, okay. Whatever. They're all that whole sector of Canada or wherever the hell they are.
Yeah.
A little bit loopy. I just can't see them, like, anyone giving the thumbs up to that and being like, okay, so the main plot of the show is he has a giant dick and, he has to navigate the world. Like, they did a thing on Two Bears, One Cave recently where they were talking about the problems of having a big dick because people wrote in. And the main problems were just like, girls oogle at you. You can't really have sex well. And I just can't see them bringing those to light in a kid's show. So I'm going to call asinine.
Cam, this one here is a headline here for you, coming right out of Denmark. So this comes out of the DR network.
I said the Danes.
Where there is a new show about a man whose penis is so big that he can't control it. The show is called John Dillermand, and it follows our lead character who puts his massive penis to good use in rescuing operations, money-making schemes, and cooking segments in order to teach children the importance of overcoming hardships and celebrating their diverse bodies. And of course, Cam, the hashtag #MeToo movement is pretty upset about this whole thing, claiming that this kind of just perpetuates the standard idea of a patriarchal society and normalizing locker room culture. However, the network tried to defend themselves, at least, saying that the show was designed for their target group of children's age 7 to 10 who have a budding curiosity about their body and their genitals and are addressing embarrassing issues in a funny way. For those of you keeping folks at home, for the record, Diller means penis. So the show roughly translates to John Penis Man.
Nice. Fuck. I gotta watch that show.
I would stay tuned. Can't wait for season 2, hopefully. Hopefully we can get to season 2.
You gotta say back to you, Cam.
Back to you, Cam.
Thanks, Cam. San Francisco man can't remember his Bitcoin password and loses $220 million.
That's tough. I know how it all works. Like, you have like a wallet, like a crypto wallet, and then you would need to find your password or, kind of like have your information that way. If there's ever a time to write down your username and password info, I would say this is probably that time. You can't rely on Google Chrome to remember your passwords for you. And I can only imagine that changing your Bitcoin wallet password is not as easy as clicking forgot my password when you try to sign into your Hotmail account for the 40,000th fucking time, and it still doesn't work because that's the only email you use for all your junk shit, and I just don't know. Anyway. But 220 million, that would have to mean that this man had so much like this was years and years in the making, and he was like away in prison, whatever it might be, and somehow returned to realize like, wow, I have all this money in Bitcoin. Fuck, I forgot my password. And then what happens to it? I guess it would just continuously remain out of circulation. It would just be $220 million of Bitcoin, however many Bitcoins that might be, in just sitting there, not to be touched, kind of like surrounded by smog in The Hobbits Part 2 or Part 3. I'm going to say it's a headline.
And you would be right about that. So this man actually lost his password 9 years ago. And he had the information stored on a hard drive, which will automatically wipe itself if you get the password wrong 10 times. He's tried 8 times. He's basically given up. He says, time heals all wounds. I've made peace with the loss. It was a big deal at the point, and the money's probably still growing, realistically.
Yeah.
Many people have reached out to him with advice. Some people suggest, have you tried password? Have you tried talking to prophets? Have you tried talking about nootropic enhancing drugs? And he's just kind of over it. He's like, it's gone. I got 2 chances left. But, you know, if you're actually a guy who's into, like, cybersecurity, your password's never just like, you know, cupboard 42. It's a series of numbers and digits and, like, things you're just not really, you don't pull them up by memory. Anyway, so this guy, this guy got dealt a pretty bad blow, but he's getting over it nicely, recovering nicely, as we say. And that's the cold, hard facts of the matter. And
we're still going
why?
For an and. Okay. Oh, and a why? Okay.
And why cash is king. Back to you.
Thanks, Cam. You're exactly right. How are we supposed to, lead the charge in the world as a leading currency if you have to remember a password to get it? You are exactly right, Cam. It's probably not just password or uppercase P and then followed by 1, because you need a character. But yeah, folks at home, if you ever get something that you should probably remember, I'd say keep it. If the CRA ever gives you an access code, keep that access code. Don't just throw it out. Don't put it on a drive. Fucking keep that letter like it's
your birth certificate.
Exactly. And by the way, folks, thanks for mailing us all of your birth certificates. We barely even asked. We barely brushed on it last show, asking all the listeners to give us their birth certificates, and we were going to make a little papier-mâché
collage
hat out of it. So very much looking forward to the paper-mâché birth certificate hat. Cam, I have one more headline here for you.
Throw me a ball.
Higher in Ohio, drunk man legally changes his name to Celine Dion after watching her YouTube videos.
Okay, so here's the problem I have with this. Off the hop, drunk man changes his name legally. It's not like you can just do it with like a quick Google search and you're like, how to change your name? It's like, click here. It's like, would you like to change your password at the same, like, click this code, it'll dial your phone. If you say yes, your name's legally changed. Like, I feel like you can be drunk and be like, I'm gonna do this tomorrow. I'm gonna get a paperwork right now, and then you start the paperwork, and then let's say you even get done half the paperwork, and then you're like, I'm gonna put this in the mail. You're just not gonna get that far. But maybe he did. Maybe he got that far. Maybe he actually followed through. I don't know what the online application looks like. I'm going to call asinine in this one, but maybe back to you, Cam. Asinine.
Cam, that's a headline. 3 strikes and you're out. I don't think we've ever seen such dominant play. Just call me Roy Halladay. Now let's get in my mini plane, Cam, because this is a story right out of France, where a 30-year-old man named Thomas Dodd was drinking one night around the holidays. And as we do, he went on a YouTube binge. We've all been there. And in this particular evening, he was on a Celine Dion live binge. And after
It's Celine
and
to you?
after watching her 2020 holiday concert, he ultimately decided to spend the 89 euros and officially change his name to Celine Dion, Cam. You would be asking yourself, shouldn't there be some kind of step 2, some kind of second approval process? Well, in France, there's not. It's a way under the state of which it currently is. There's a website. You type in your credit card info, and it becomes your name. Mr. Dodd said that he's always been a fan of the singer, and over the lockdown, he's been watching
Wait,
a lot of her.
Mr. Dion?
Mr. Dodd.
No, wouldn't it be Mr. Dion?
Well, I guess, sure.
Celine Dion?
Sure. I'm not going to say it, though. He's a fan of the singer, and he's just been watching a lot of her concerts over the past 9 or 10 months or so. He was, in fact, so drunk that he forgot to do so. It wasn't until he returned one day from work and saw a letter from the government's office. He opened up the letter congratulating him on his new name, Mr. Celine Dion, and then he realized, oh shit, I thought that was a dream. I didn't think I actually did that, but he did.
Was he excited?
His biggest concern out of all this is, what does he tell the HR department at work? Does he have to change his email signature? What if he gets pulled over by police? He doesn't know what to do for the time being. He said he'll probably end up changing his name back.
Yeah, it seems like the logical thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, not sure if everyone picked up on this, but this is at the new studio with brand new equipment, sponsored by an anonymous donation. I wish we could say the names of the people. By the way, tomorrow, Cam, just wanted to promote this. Okay. There is a UFC event going on at Fight Island, which is in Abu Dhabi. Just a fantastic place. The fight card's good. Abu Dhabi, love it.
Now, this is wild. Dana White is trying this new thing. He's calling them Abu Dhabi Tuesdays, where there's actually a full UFC card on a Tuesday. It's amazing.
There's one on Wednesday this week.
Wow. Tuesday and Wednesday?
It's just Wednesday. It's because of the time zone difference. It's Tuesday their time, Wednesday our time.
Right. So if you turn into... Because today's
on ABC.
Because today's Monday, so if on Wednesday you go to ABC, you'll be able to watch a full UFC card.
Well, it's going to be at like 6 in the morning, but yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, there's great cards this week. We got Holloway versus Keita. Conor McGregor's fighting next weekend. And we got a Neil Magny versus Michael Chiesa on Wednesday morning. So check it out, folks.
Absolutely riveting. And thanks for listening to another week of the podcast, folks. Remember, you can rate, review, like, and subscribe. The podcast is all over the place. It's on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Stitcher Premium, Spoticast. Still working on that to become the first exclusive podcast of Spoticast. And hopefully that's going well.
Great, folks. And never forget, do you think you're sleepy? Well, a snail can sleep for 3 years. I'm Cam LeClaire, signing off.
Take care, folks.
Continuing tonight on Two C's in a Pod. 96.7 on your...
Two C's in a pod, 2 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 C's in a pod, just like 2 C's in a pod, because we're 2 C's in a pod, just like 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's in a pod at gmail.com.